what a great first hour. If you guys did not hear it, go back and play that replay. Candidate Daryl Terrell was just dropping some tea leaves, and I'm not talking about these tea leaves. Just it's just exciting when you hear all this great stuff that's going to be happening. But guess what, you guys? Great stuff will not happen if you don't get the right people in the right positions. So do me a favor, you guys. Again, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And we're going to get into a little bit about Daryl Terrell and some of the questions you guys really want me to start asking. And so, Daryl's, you guys know he's been here forever. And, Daryl's, an alumni of RCC. He's been to all the campuses at one time or another in regards to classes. Unofficially known to, at least that's how I address him, as Mr. Moreno Valley, because he looks the part when he comes to the city council. He's very well dressed and knows how to present himself to look official. And a lot of people do know who Daryl Terrell is when he is doing his thing, because the job that he does, people know that he's hardworking, he's conscientious. And how do I know he's hardworking? Because at one time Daryl was working 2 jobs, just like any regular person would do. And see, that's what I look like when I see a candidate. This is what I think about when I see a candidate, Daryl. I think like this. Could that candidate remind me of me? You know what I mean? That's what I look at because, here I am complaining. As everybody knows, I go to city council and I'd be beating the brakes off of people, tearing their heads off, as people say, and getting involved, right? But at the same time, though, I look at the people on the dais and the people that might be running an election, and I say, could that person represent me? Or is that person more like me than it is my enemy or somebody I don't like? You know what I mean? And if that person has virtues that I can say, well, yeah, that's something like me. That's what I would believe. Or that's what I would do. That's who I lean to kind of, to look out for my interests when we go up there. So a lot of people want to know, Daryl, why is it that, and you've answered this several times before, but let's just do it again.
Okay.
Why are you the best candidate for this position?
Well, for one thing, I think outside of the box. I know what goes on in my community. Mm-hmm. I'm not theoretical. Mm-hmm. I'm more pragmatic. Mm-hmm. I see problems and I see solutions. And in being in a position like this, where we have times are changing, and we rapidly, that we have to be able to see things and be able to meet those challenges. Mm-hmm. And so for me being the best candidate is because I have accomplished a lot of things in this community. I know what's going on in this community. I have a Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, I have a Bachelor's Arts degree, but I was a student leader. Mm-hmm. And so I know what students go through because I was a student. And I have hands-on experience being a student. But also, beyond being a student, I know how to get things done because I've done it. If any of you guys heard of Hire More Val, mm-hmm. that was one of the things that I fought for 9 years. The mayor championed that idea. Mm-hmm. Community workforce agreement, same thing. For me as the best candidates, because I see things. I know my community. I know what people are going through because I'm just a regular person, but I also know that if I see a trend, then I know I need to meet that trend. Mm. And how do you address that trend? And I know where to go. I do my research. I do my homework, and I talk to different people to come to a decision. I don't sit there and theorize what it could be or what it is. Mm. I put a theory and put it to use. Mm. And I'm more, like I said, I'm pragmatic. That's why I'm the best candidate, because I know how to get things done. I was a student. I was a student leader. So I could relate to a student. But also, I know how to make rational choices and decisions based on facts, based on my own research, based on what I hear from people. But I know how to come to a conclusion. Right. And so that's why I say I'm the best candidate. But also that, speaking of knowing what's going on in the community, I just know right now that if you look around us, a lot of folks don't have the skills or have the remarkable skills to land them a livable wage job in our community. Mm-hmm. So I know how we can make that connection so that person don't have to travel 36 miles outside of the community, and how they could get a ladder job in our community by working with the industry, work with the college, work with the county, work with the city to create those career paths. So as a trustee, that's what I've learned over the years, that I see what's in my community. We got warehouses everywhere, but we could do better because of the fact that we have Moreno Valley College. We haven't used it as it should be to create career paths, but not only that, to bring in and attract industries that we only could dream of. Mm-hmm. And as I said before, you look at the professor I talked to, not the professor, but the doctor down at CSERT. That's a perfect example. I talked to him. How can we make that connection to create career paths? Not only career paths, but livable wage jobs to come into our community. Careers in our community. It's possible, but you got to have that kind of thinking. You got to understand that there's industries that we haven't even approached yet.
Right.
So anyway,
but compared to your opponent now, you know Dr. Thin. I mean, she's been in the community for a while now. Her and her husband, really nice man, Robert Thin, is a very, very nice guy. Both are veterans, and they lean on a lot of the. Dr. Thin leans a lot on her being a professor, associate professor, and her academia, and there's no doubt her academia is great. But here's the difference that I'm saying, and I'm not trying to pick sides. And again, Dr. Thin, I know you listen to the program, or some of your people on your staff listen to the program. You're more than welcome to come on and tell us, a little bit about, your campaign and introduce yourself. Because we know in this cycle, everybody's taking the Herschel Walker path by not showing up to debates or not even debating. They just, resting on pretty. But in regards to Dr. Thin, what would you say? And I'm not trying to get you to say. Well, I think it's better that I say it. When I compare the both of you, and you guys have been in the community a very, very long time, you guys both have great assets. But the fact of the matter is, only one of you has tangible assets that is actually codified in the public record, and that's you. So, knowing what I know between the two of you, I'm going to lean more to the person who has tangible accomplishments within this community. And that's what I'm looking for. And I'm not just trying to be, I'm trying to be as neutral as I can, but those are the facts. Dr. Thin's been here a while. I can't really think of tangible things that she's done within the community. And I'm not trying to lowbrow her or browbeat her, and Daryl's not going to do that because that isn't what Daryl is. But this is me, Donovan Sadiq, speaking. I myself, as a resident, without holding office, was able to get $500,000 of street repairs and a few things done in the community that I live in, thanks to the representative at the time that had the champion, just like the example you did,
yes,
and did that. But the bottom line is, somebody asked me the last time that we did the show last week, and they kind of agreed, and they're like, "What is she passionate about?" Because it seems to me when you jump from campaign to campaign, that you don't show any passion. But see, when we asked you the same question,
yes,
you came out and said, no matter what position you shoot for, be it mayor, be it council member, be it school board, it all comes back to economic mobility.
Yes.
So technically, every time you run, your core is economic mobility. So that's your passion.
Yes.
But when I think of your opponent, I can't pinpoint. I'm trying to be as fair as possible. I cannot pinpoint what is her passion.
Yeah, I would say.
Do you have an idea?
I don't. I'm being honest, because the fact I haven't seen anything. All I know, what I've seen is my academia. Mm-hmm. And I applaud Dr. Thin for her achievements in military and in academics.
Yeah, and I applaud her for trying to volunteer out there and get out there.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk a good game, but they don't do it.
But but see, the thing I've always seen from these faculty associations, her experience. But see,
experience in what?
Yeah, exactly. And I say to them, if you're out there listening, faculty, I'm going to tell you something. I have accomplished a lot more than Dr. Thin.
That's facts. Those are just facts.
When I currently serve right now.
And we're talking local stuff, because Daryl has never been in the military. But he comes from a military family. But he never actually was in the military. Yeah. So it wouldn't be fair to say, well, Dr. Thin was a senior master sergeant or whatever in the military, because it's just two different things. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, and see, the things I've learned, every organization I've been in, I have succeeded in. Whether right now I currently serve in the Riverside County Behavioral Health Commission for the last 8 years. Now, here's some of the things that the key to my whole campaign is getting our fair share of resources. Since I've been on that on the Riverside County Behavioral Health Commission for the last 8 years, I have accomplished several things. Number one, we created a collaboration with our school districts and sharing mental health services. And here's one thing: Moreno Valley College, RCC, UC Riverside, as a result of my advocacy, are receiving shared county service when it comes to mental health. We are getting 2 crisis management teams to deal with homelessness and substance abuse programs in this community.
Wow!
So this is not something in the past. This is stuff that I've currently have been fighting for our community this year. We get our fair share of resources, and that's something that people can see.
Right.
This is not, and the thing about leadership. Think about this: when I was a student leader, we were the first at UCR, the first UC school to have a rental textbook program that I spearheaded, and I fought hard when people said it was never going to happen, and it happened in 1992. It was a pilot program, but we were the first. So what I'm saying is, I have excelled in every organization I've ever been in, and the fact is, I don't just sit on my on my laurels, and in my I got these degrees, but I've been out there for 30-something years. I served on the Traffic Safety Advisory Committee for the city for 7 years. I was in the first leadership Moreno Valley class in 1996, and I've served on many other organization boards. But see, the thing is also too, I would say it has gone outside this community. It has gone to the city of Paris, the city of Palm Springs, the city of Hemet. I just didn't stay local. I use what I know to help other cities. So I'm not trying to brag about it, but I'm just speaking facts. Because these faculty organizations, they try to just lambast everybody with all this experience, but they look at what Terrell has done in Moreno Valley, Hire Movale. Some of you guys who are out here may have used that program to land a good, decent job, and look at the employment resource centers. And you'll see the things I've done to help our community when it comes to mental health services. I brought a lot of mental health services into this community. There's a new for substance abuse right there for Cottonwood. They just occupied not too long ago. I think it was probably last year or so. But that's something that I fought hard for. This is not something I'm resting my laurels on that experience, but I have done tangible things that you could see. And this will show people that I will be the voice that will fight for our community and tooth and nail to make sure we get our fair share of resources at Moreno Valley College. And I can't say that for Dr. Thin, but I can say for Daryl Terrell.
Speaking for Daryl Terrell.
I will, and those are tangible. Like I said, you go check for yourselves. You guys check the public record. You check what I'm doing on the Behavioral Health Commission in the county for the last 8 years. I have fought for this community. I have brought resources into our community. Our fair share of resources, and the fight continues. So I'm not sitting here, and like I said, these faculty folks, I hark on that because of the fact they force and say, this person has this experience, but they don't look at the fact that I got college degrees too.
Sure.
And
you're not in their circle.
Yeah, I'm not in their circle. To them, I'm trouble.
Right.
Because I was the kind of guy that was on campus that raised hell, excuse my language, when it came to teachers' evaluations, which they didn't like.
And I'm glad you brought that up in regards to like how you raise hell and stuff like that. Because it's funny that when you stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves, you're labeled like a troublemaker or this, that. Now, when I came on the scene, in local politics, that was the first thing that I was labeled because nobody knew who I was, and they were like, "This guy's talking facts. He lives in Edgemont. No, he doesn't live in Edgemont. He's not in the real Edgemont." Remember all this other stuff like that,
Yes.
And but I was consistent. I kept coming.
Yes.
And I let it be known and very clear that if you don't want me to come up here and do this, do your jobs. And I was consistent about it, and I argued with people. There's a love-hate thing with the different groups. So I just think it's ironic that, here, and like I said, Dr. Thin, she is not a average woman. I'm going to say that. She's highly skilled. She's a female. She was in the military, had a very successful career in the military, been married for years, beautiful children, grandchildren, I believe. Successful woman, right?
Yes.
But of course, she is what I call in the group of the academia elitists. Like you said, there's nothing tangible that I mean, trust me, Daryl, I have, and you guys out there, I have done some work. Dr. Thin has passion about something. I just don't know what it is, because I can look at your record. I can just go to the city council, the city hall right now, and I can pull some of your initiatives and things that you suggested. It's on record. It's on the video. So, and everybody was like, you know what, Donovan, you were right about that. What is she passionate about? Because even if she does what you're doing, you're passionate about upward economic mobility.
Yeah.
No matter what position you run for, that is your core passion. We don't know what her core passion is. But I'm going to ask you this question real quick. People always talk about this boogeyman that is still out there. And a lot of people gave me a lot of crap because for some reason, because I'm not fighting this boogeyman, this boogie developer, I'm a sellout. What is your take in regards to this boogie developer? You know who I'm talking about, Mr. Ito Bendizi.
Yeah. I look at it like this. I look at it in 2009, we were in the darkest moment in the recession. Mm-hmm. And he brought hope when it came to the sketches. It wasn't what we all thought it was going to be, but at least he invested in our community where nobody else would invest. And think about it. If he didn't invest, who knows where it would have been, but he took a chance on this community. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's to me, people seem to demonize people. Okay. And when you demonize someone, you create, like Shantae, I guess, was mentioning that I listened to, the boogeyman. Mm-hmm. But the boogeyman is irrelevant. Okay. Because what we are facing together, and I agree with Shantae, that there's no unity in here. Yeah. Now, when I talk about the only unity is, I hate this guy's guts. Why do you hate this guy's guts?
Yeah, it's like high school, politics and government. It's popularity contest, because I bring up Ito in the fact that is, and I'm just going to do it for the people that think that I don't ask these super hard questions. Now, Daryl, you've been with me for a long time, whatever. And you kind of know how media works. Yeah. If you came on this show and I ripped your head off, would you ever return to this show?
Probably not. More likely, I probably
because I would have a reputation of being aggressive. Yeah. And nobody would come on the show. Yeah. Nobody. Yeah. Now, we're not having any debates. We're not having anything going on. Yeah. I have welcomed everybody. Remember when Shalinda Bernard was running for office and she was scared crapless to come on the show? Remember we were doing the podcast outside, and she sat down. We asked her some general questions. You just
I remember.
Softball questions just to get her comfortable, whatever the deal is. And we asked some to present her platform. Yes. I think that's what you need to do, especially if there's no debates.
Well, yeah, and
because how can people hear what Terrell is saying if I'm ripping your head off and you're not even showing up?
Well, yeah, because like I said, in this day of age, and like I said, that what the pandemic has taught us, that things are changing. Just like I said, in the community, the way you campaign has changed
completely.
People now
when you ran for mayor, how many votes did you get?
over almost what I think was
6,000. Yeah, over 6,000, and it was during the summer months. Nobody wants to walk in the summer months, and you did a campaign mostly based on social media.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it, because it's easy for people to pick up this little thing. It's just like whoever thought that we would have electric cars,
right,
or driverless drones delivering stuff. I mean, campaigns have evolved.
Yeah, you do know that they could have hydro cars too.
Yeah.
But they don't want to do that because they can't make any money.
Yeah, well, you got to have a lot of stations invest, but yeah, everything evolves. Mm-hmm. We're not stuck in the old age with old type of campaign. Campaigns have changed because people. If I want to know about some candidate, I can go on my phone and look.
And look
if I'm interested in it. But to go back to your question about the boogeyman and stuff, those days are over.
Right.
Because
didn't Ito get everything he wanted? Didn't he get everything he wanted?
He got everything.
The WLC got approved.
Yeah.
Lawsuits have been settled.
Yeah.
So, what I've looked at candidates 460s. I don't see Ito's name on anything. I don't see the Chung's name on anything. I'm not saying that they're not there, but what I'm saying is, I think this is the first election cycle in a long time for all of the election cycles where you don't have the riverboat of this boogeyman.
Well, yeah,
dividing everybody.
Like I said, that's unfortunate that we demonize people.
Yeah,
I mean, because it's like I said, we can agree to disagree. but we can be respectful. But it got to the point where people just hate each other,
right,
and hate this one man or hate this other man or hate anybody instead of saying, you know what. We may agree to disagree, but let's look at what we have in common. Like Shante said, we don't have unity.
We don't have unity.
And the thing I think about...
And we don't have reality.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, you got to start where you're at. If the city is congested with warehouses, which is what it is right now, these warehouses are not going away.
They're not. No.
So we have to do something with them to make them work to our advantage. To keep fighting a war or a problem that happened and has been settled for a couple of years now is ridiculous. So you've got people out there. Oh, what about Ito? So I'm going to ask you, Daryl. Are you getting any money from Ito Bendizi?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm very
So
sure.
if we check your 460s, Ito isn't in your pocket doing all this other stuff.
No,
okay, thank you.
He's not.
Thank you.
And so what I say though, but I look at the reality of this. Look, think about every warehouse out here. Remember we were talking about the manufacturing, spring bodies, and all this stuff. Think about what the common thing. If we want unity, this is how
do we do it? How do we do it?
Moreno Valley College. People say, how Moreno Valley College could unify people? Think about it. Just like when I ran. Economic mobility. Everybody has in common. They want to have a better life for one another. So how do you do that? You got to have some kind of training or specialized training. And how do you bring in other industries? By working together. You work with the business community. You work with the
Wait a minute though. But you've got a candidate out there that might have been in the business community, and I just don't like him, and he's this just decrepit guy, and he's a snake and everything, and maybe all of that is true, but what's your alternative?
But hey, here's the thing too. But you have to look beyond all this this stuff that's static, because like I said, I look at what's the main focus that this community needs right now.
Unity.
We need unity. We need economic mobility.
We need money. We need jobs.
Because people want high quality companies to come in, establishments, commercial, and all that. Only way you're gonna do that, you gotta have more disposable income.
Right.
So Moreno Valley College, working with the city, working with the county, we can work together to do that for the sake of our community, to bring people together, to bring those type of industries into this community, to give the people the skills so they can work in the facility like that if they want to. It'd be their choice. But the thing is, if we want to bring in these industries that we only could dream of, it's a dream. It could be reality. Right. But you got to have the right people. You got to have the city working with Moreno Valley College. You got to have the business community working with Moreno Valley. It's almost a triangle. Working together to do the best for our community. And the best for our community is creating career paths. Correct. And to link up with industries that we, like I just said, down at UCR, the Research and Development Center, the medical, all this stuff is a recipe to bring people together, and that's my opinion. I think we can do it. And I'm sure if we work together as one, we can do it. Reno Valley College can lead the way with the city, with the school district, and with the business community working as one.
Okay, so let me ask you this question.
Okay.
In regards to unity, you keep talking unity and everything.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. How are you going to unify when you get elected? What will you do to unify that trustee board up there?
Well, we all have our own interests. Some have Norco, Riverside, but we all have one interest together. But like I did when I came on the board of the Riverside County Behavioral Health Commission, we had all our interests. We represent distinctly different districts. But the thing is, people understood our plight, and they were willing to meet to help us to get the things we need for our community. And it wasn't being adversarial, because people think, oh, you want your fair share. That's adversarial. No, it doesn't have to be adversarial. It's a common interest, a common goal that we all have our fair share of resources to make our community better, because our residents deserve it.
Right, absolutely.
Our students deserve it. So
let me ask you this.
Okay.
You're up there, and now you're a elected official, which means, and I hope you're aware of this, sometimes when you become an elected official, you're muzzled, as in some of the things you can say, some of the things you can do, and all this other stuff. So, where are we going to get the next Daryl Terrell?
You mean the next Daryl?
The next Daryl Terrell, that's going to come in up under you. You're not going to be here forever, brother.
Oh well, there's people out there that we have to. They may see. I think a lot of times there's people out there in the community, women or males, that have an interest. They come to council meetings, or they involve in other entities, speaking their minds. It's like the thing about Elmer. I mean, Elmer has a passionate heart, him and his wife.
Yeah.
Those kind of folks you need to have engaged. And you have more people like that, like Elmer out there, that wants to they passionate about what's going on in their community.
Right.
And they see what's wrong. And so you have people that are no longer being afraid, like Elmer and his wife and some other folks that's coming to the meetings. And that's where you're going to find them. You're going to find people who, like yourself, and say, I'm tired of having my neighborhood look like crap. Why everybody else is doing good. And so you have people like-minded, like yourself or Elmer or other people out there that's where you're going to get them from. You're going to get them from people that see, who had enough, looking at, like the people on social media. But see, here's another thing, though. Social media has kind of took that away, having people come to council, because they
can just look and be keyboard gangsters.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. So they talk about the potholes. But I wish the people that talk about the potholes come to a council meeting and talk about it.
Right.
And just say what's on your mind and be constructive about it.
Or come to a trustee meeting, because you can't read minds, can you?
No.
Okay, because so if as a student or as a parent or somebody I have a problem, because I'm not sure how the college trustee board works versus what the regular school board works.
Yeah.
I could come to you and be like, hey, this is the situation. Like I said, I always tell people, especially here in the Edgemont community, you notice usually I'm the only one that comes from this area that voices, my problem with the city and how they are dealing with Edgemont. I tell my neighbors all of the time, I'm one voice. It's super easy to sit behind a keyboard or sit at home and bitch and moan and tell them, well, this is what's wrong with the city and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But we never see you at city council. We never see you out there doing the work.
Well, that's like here's like you're just saying, the problem, like when we were talking about economic mobility, and that brings me to this is when Karma, at first they were called Fisker, the automotive place came in. And I was frustrated because I went to the city and said, why we are not connecting with Reno Valley College? So I had to figure out where all these different meetings are. So I showed up to the meeting with my little proposal and said, here, let's I have a hybrid training apprenticeship program that take a look at it. And I met with some people at the Workforce Development Board. I went to their meeting. I went to WRCOG because I was passionate about the fact that we were missing an opportunity. Because we're bringing in a manufacturing into this community, and it's high tech, but people are going to miss the boat on this because there's no linkage, so we can get people trained into one of those jobs. So I was passionate enough to go to wherever I could go to talk. If it was at a board of supervisors meeting, if it was at the WRCOG. WRCOG is an acronym for, I think it's Western Region of Cities or something like that. And I went to, like I said, I went to different things because the fact I was passionate about economic mobility, because people would have an opportunity of a lifetime to land one of these jobs if they had specialized training. And I knew that the program that I presented to the city council could work and could help our people land those jobs and careers that they needed specialized training. And once you understand that, I was there. I was there at this meeting. I was at this meeting. I talked to Pat. I can't think of his name. That's at the Workforce Development Show. We had an hour meeting about what I wanted to do, and people got tired of me going there. They said, "Why are you here?" I said, "I'm fighting for my community. I want my community to have a chance at these jobs." But you guys are not creating any training or anything to link these guys to the job. You're not working with Red Valley College. You're not doing anything. So, when I revert back to my campaign, I tell people, I've been there. And like I said, for the Faculty Association, I was there in those meetings fighting for my community to ensure that they have the means to move up the ladder. And that's what some of these folks don't understand. They said my opponent has this and this and that. I applaud it. But again, I was at the meeting fighting for our community.
Right.
I was fighting to have career paths. I wasn't theorizing what a career path was. I knew what the career path was to get our people who probably didn't have education beyond high school, but a chance of a lifetime to get specialized training to go into a job, because you didn't need a 4-year degree to do the work they were doing.
Do the work they're doing. So a great answer there. I'm glad you clarified the boogeyman situation and all this other stuff, because everybody keeps bringing that up, and it's not a factor in this election cycle. It's just not.
No, we just move forward.
But let's talk about this.
Okay.
These TikTok videos that you're doing, they're very innovative. They're very nice. Where do you get your ideas for that?
God, you'd be surprised. I'm sitting here. This is the first time my mind just works. Like I sit there and think about how can I do to illustrate the point that I'm trying to make. So like going to Norco, I had to sit there and think about how can I get from A to B. The point is, I tell people, if you want to get logistics, where you got to go? You got to go to Norco. So I had to figure. I go to a P&G or an industry and say, okay, you see behind me where it says wanted for this person, wanted for this, and wanted for that. And I said, but guess what? If you want to get some technical, you want a certification, you got to go somewhere else. So my mind was thinking, okay, I jump in the car and go to the Norco. Or if, to tell people my education, I could have wrote it, I could have posted what my education is.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to show people so they could illustrate to people how to do it. But to answer your question,
to visualize.
Yeah, it's a visual thing that I'm sitting here thinking. I'm like, okay, how can I do this thing about construction shortage? Oh, I met a guy that talked to me about it. He talked about they didn't have enough people. So how can I best do that? Go to
get
his
that
place.
message out.
Yeah, go to his place, show where it's at, then go to the key areas. Like I go to Red Valley College, or I would go to UCR, or I would go to the C-Cert place to show people. I drove all the way. I was crazy. I said I drove all the way to Palm Springs for the windmill.
Right, and gas ain't cheap.
Yeah, and the thing is, I wanted to illustrate to people that we can do this. So it's basically to try, instead of posting words on a piece of on the Facebook or something, is to show people what I'm talking about.
And people that like to be entertained at the same time.
Yeah. You saw me shooting a basketball. I haven't done that in years.
Right.
But I had to make a point to people that, when you're talking about not all the jobs need a 4-year degree,
right.
but you need specialized training. So I said, well, wait a minute. I said, how can I best do that? Because I had to do some walking. I said, you know what? Maybe if I shoot a basketball and I could turn around and walk back and say specialized training. But that's where I get my ideas, because that thing I did about the construction came out of something else that I did.
Okay.
So I'm sitting here, I'm writing down words so I can remember what I'm going to say in different things, because these things are not easy to do.
Yeah, to do. Right.
Because I had to do stages here, do stages there. I said, how much time I did? That thing I did about UCR RCC took me almost all day to do.
Oh, wow. Well, if you think about it, though, that's a small price to pay to get a message out.
Yeah.
Versus people who get a staff. And, so ladies and gentlemen, Daryl Terrell is fiscally responsible in saving money. He's going to do it at the rate that he can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
To get
you saw me with my sweaty shirt on, because you know what? This is who I am.
Right.
I'm a regular person like you guys. And somebody at Lowe's told me, one of my coworkers told me, they said, you know what? I can relate to you because this is who I am.
Right. Well, one of the things, I don't know if you're aware of that, you're very humble. You're a very humble person, because sometimes some people get elected or they're in an election cycle and it goes through their head. They just turn into a different person. A good example of that, Dave Marquez. Councilman Dave Marquez. Dave Marquez is he's a nice guy, but in some of the incidents that I've heard about, it just seems like to some people, power goes to their head. And I'm not saying he's a bad person or things like that, but remember when Dave would go around the city and he picked up trash? How come he doesn't do that anymore?
Don't know.
You see him now? He's a councilman, so hey, I'm Dave. You know who I am? I'm Dave Marquez. And I'm not trying to make fun of him. I'm just saying, I'm using that as an example of how people sometimes change. Maybe he's not picking up trash because he has more to do as being a council member, but you got time to go to a Dodgers game or Angels game or whatever game you were going to, a box, whatever. And I bring that up for the simple fact that you still live pretty much in the district. You haven't moved to a bigger house. You see, I still live in Edgemont.
I rent a room.
Yeah. but do you see what I'm saying? People, some people really don't change because, like you said, you are who you are. You're not this fake, made up person that's going to get there and say, "Oh, you wear a suit when you go to functions because that's who you are." You don't wear the suit because you're trying to be a fake politician. You wear a suit because it's appropriate to wear a suit at a certain thing, the way you were raised and stumble. But you have a humbleness about you to where, if you guys that really don't understand what being humble is that he's not thinking about himself. He's thinking about the greater good and the common good. And we've gotten away from that in America so much. And what does the common good mean, especially for you young people that are listening? The common good is what's best for all versus the one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Versus the one. So, if it's advantageous that everybody benefits versus the one person, that's the common good. Yeah. Okay, unfortunately, you're not going to get that Mercedes that you wanted because we're going to give everybody Volkswagens. The common good,
Yes.
And a lot of people forget that. And you're always thinking of the common good.
Well, that comes from from being humble from my parents. We didn't have very much, but the thing is, it's like you just thankful and blessed that you were able to be in a position to do something for the greater good. It's like my grandfather, who was a police officer.
Sure.
There was a story that was told at his funeral that this one fella came through town. And the stores were closed on a Sunday, and he had a flat tire. You didn't have a spare tire back in the day. And he happened to be out there, and he knew, and he saw this guy. He had no flat tire. He was coming through town. He called the owner of the place, and they came out and put the spare tire on and went. I mean, he didn't want anything, but he saw someone that was in need of help. So he tried to help him. And so, I take that from my grandfather, from my dad, and my mother, and translate it to what I could do to make a difference in my community. If it's whether through a post, an inspirational post, or it's whether then trying to look at the big picture of we have industries in town that where our taxpayers pay for, but we don't have any jobs in that company or in that line. So that's why Hire More Val came about. It's because it wasn't going to benefit me. It was going to benefit somebody else out there.
Right.
And that's why I'm passionate about helping our people and helping our community. Because like I said, I have an invested interest in this community because I live here, and I don't, I rent a room, and I drive a, Prius and all that. And I'm not rich.
Yeah, you're just a humble guy.
Yeah, and I just want to help somebody. I want to help our community. That's why I do the things. Because people like little committees like Riverside, people with the Behavioral Health Commission. I said, but you don't understand the passion I have for our community, and that is to fight to ensure that we have, like we were talking about, mental health problems. That's going to be the biggest issue that we have ever seen.
Yeah.
And so...
And you're seeing it in the homeless.
Exactly. And so my thing is, when I saw a homeless person come into my store at Lowe's, I told them not to call the cops. I called the homeless outreach to get that person help, and they got help.
Right.
It wasn't because I wanted to make a scene. I thought that person needed help.
Right.
They didn't need to be in jail.
Right. Another issue you're going to have to do when you get on the student board is homeless students. There's a lot of homeless students out there that are living in their cars.
Yes.
And they're trying to get an education because, again, they've been told you go to school, which I think is great that you're trying to better yourself. You're going to get a great job, but we know that that's not true. But the issue is we are going to have a lot of homeless students that are going to be having an issue. And if RCC, I don't know if Moreno Valley has showers and things like that, but things like that to help them.
They do, and like I saw one thing from my opponent is she said that we're going to have housing. Oh yeah, in 2024, but what about right now? Like you were just saying, people living in their cars. We open the shelter, we open the showers for people to go and bathe. But my whole thing has been, let's go for the lower laying fruit. It's contract with a nonprofit out there that do tiny houses. Let's bring wraparound programs from the county and link up with them and have our homeless students have a place to stay, have a place to keep their pets and wherever they can have their belongings instead of worrying about where is somebody gonna steal something from them.
Yeah. I think one of the greatest things, let's go back to humility real quick. I think one of the greatest things that a person could be honored is the fact that they go unsung, but what they did affected other people other than themselves. And I've always said that if I can do one thing, even if it's just one thing that's going to help my community just like you do all of the time, that's my reward, and that's my my golden watch, and I can go off into the sunset. And I constantly worry about where is the next Daryl Terrell, where is the next Gordon Tucker, where is the next Shantae, these people in the community that are watchdogs and people that are just doing the work. Notice I didn't include myself in there because I think that the stuff that I do, anybody can do. So,
well, like I say, you got to have passion, and like I said, choosing to run for a position like this for me is passion, because I could do a lot. Someone was asking why I didn't run for mayor or run for mayor and stuff. I said, well, I look at it like this: Moreno Valley College is the center of how we can help people live their American dream. How we can partner with the county and the city to create career paths to livable wage jobs in our community. If I could do one thing, is to create those paths, I've done my job. Is to help a lot of people.
Right, absolutely. Like I said, last question. What's your prediction for the election?
I win.
I like that.
I win.
And nobody ever asks that question because, like, well, I'm not. I don't believe anybody says, well, I'm not sure. But yeah, you got to speak it into existence. And I really think that I'm gonna win. If Dr. Thin thinks that sitting on her lawyer, what's the word?
You said laurels.
Yeah, sitting on her laurels and hanging with her academic friends. I think she made that mistake last time when she ran for council.
Well, that, like I said, people are gonna have to look at who they're gonna support, who's gonna fight for this community. Mm-hmm. Terrell is gonna fight for you, and I will continue to make sure you can live your American dream. And as a trustee, I will work my dog hardest to make sure you can.
Amen. Amen. Hey, you guys, that's the show for this week. Daryl Terrell's going to be with us again next week, and we're going to keep in touch. We'll see you guys then.